Welcome back to the Power of Progression podcast. I'm your host, John Marrone. I am beyond excited to share the microphone with such an incredible guy. His name is Brandon T. Adams. He went from having a speech impediment when he was a kid to now speaking in front of large crowds and having his own TV show. But he almost lost everything in June of 2014. He had $750,000 of investments lined up and last minute turned it down. Hit rock bottom, made a pivot, and he climbed back to the top. Brandon is a motivational speaker, a serial entrepreneur, owning a stake in a number of different businesses. He's also a co-host and one of the two executive producers of Ambitious Adventures, recently named or nominated for an Emmy Award. Brandon is the youngest entrepreneur featured in the Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy movie. He's also a crowdfunding, branding, PR, and digital marketing expert. In 2018, Brandon and his fiance are traveling the country and redefining the meaning of success through their TV series, Success in Your City, which is projected to release in 2019. My man, Brandon T. Adams, what is going on, brother? And how you doing?
How you doing, man? Thanks for that great intro. I'm doing amazing. I'm excited to share value with your audience and be on the show today.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for joining us. I know you're in Nashville right now. And you're currently traveling right now, doing all the different Success in Your Cities, right?
Yeah, so we've been traveling. December 27th of last year, we left the cold Iowa weather. We left, it was like 7 below in northeast Iowa. I grew up in a town of 700 people, Garnavillo. And we set out for our tour on Success in Your City. And our first city was Scottsdale, Arizona. So we went there, we filmed an episode, and then went on to go to Austin, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, Denver, Colorado, and now we're in Nashville, Tennessee. So it's been a journey. We had started out, we said we're going to do 12 cities in 12 months, or I said that because I always like to shoot for the stars. Realized that was not attainable based off of doing the first time for this show. And everything we're going to do. So we'll end up with 5 cities, which is still amazing. I mean, we've been to probably like 30 cities, but to film 12 episodes was nuts. So we filmed 5 episodes, or will be 5 soon. And it'll be cool to see. Right now we're pitching to different networks, and we're looking at the Netflixes, Hulu's, Amazon's. We spoke with ABC as well, and picked the best opportunity to get it out there and look forward to even doing season 2.
I love that. That's awesome. And you got a big event coming up here not too long, right?
Yeah. Actually, it's crazy. Now that I think of it, I've probably either spoke at or put on a dozen events this year, from fundraisers to speaking, all kinds of stuff. But we're doing the week we film on the 18th, we're actually doing a event for real estate agents. We've catered to real estate agents in a lot of cities. I was just at Mega Camp. For anybody in the real estate world, they understand what KW's Mega Camp is. So I spoke to about 400 agents about marketing and branding, and actually blew my mind on how many different agents are not applying the tactics of video marketing, telling their story, podcasting. Like, I even asked, like, how many people have a podcast show? And I think one person raised their hand, and you know who that one person was? A client of mine. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's the atmosphere and landscape is changing with technology, social media. This is not just for real estate, it's for everything. It's changing how we do things, how we sell, how we build relationships. And I truly believe if you're not creating video content right now, you're falling behind, because that's where everything's going to. You're looking at Netflix and Amazon and Facebook Watch. They're doing original series. They're creating original content. And this is content that people watch. I do this thing now called, it's what's the word? It's info sponging. One of my mentors, he's a self-made billionaire. He co-founded Priceline.com. It's Jeff Hoffman. He said every day, info sponge. Spend 20 minutes searching online, just random things, just to see what's out there. Top 10 searches, whatever it may be. And you'll find out, you'll start to learn different things that can help you in your business, or even maybe start a new business. And I did that yesterday. I just put top 10 like searches. In the top 10 searches, or it was in the top 100, there were 4 or 5 on original series or Netflix or on Amazon. So it was about original series. And then I saw all the different things out there that were all searches around content. And I'm like, obviously my predictions are right. And this is something you should look into, is creating content. You don't have to create your own TV show. It's a little more in depth, but create content just like we're doing right here. We're recording it. You can multi-purpose it for Instagram, for Snapchat, for Facebook, all of that. So create video content, because I really believe it's the best way to tell your story. You know, for tens of thousands of years, storytelling has been a way to move people in different ways. And now in this era, I really believe that video is the best way to tell a story, because you see it, you hear it, you have the emotional attachment to it. It has all the things for the human to really like build that trust with you. And what happens is over time, people are watching your videos, let's say on Facebook. They see you as like this celebrity, this like untouchable person, this famous person. And then when they do meet you in person one day, they're like, oh my God, I saw you on a video. And then you've already built up that relationship. You broke the ice because it's not that awkward. Who are you? And then when you are talking with them, it's a lot easier to have a conversation. Also a lot easier to do some kind of business deal together.
Absolutely. And I want to talk to you about storytelling and how people can take their story and create a brand around it. But before we do that, you obviously have created a brand. But before, that happened, like, tell us what your life looked like growing up. Give us a little background on, where you grew up, what your lifestyle was like. I'm super interested in that.
Yeah, you'll never guess it. So I sold ice, like packaged ice. I could sell ice to an Eskimo. I grew up, my dad in 1986 started this business to sell ice to convenience stores and bars. And I born in 89, and my whole life I got to ride with him. Some people played baseball in the summer. I sold ice. And I always said one day that I would take over the business. It wasn't until it was 5 years ago that I bought the business from my dad, and it still runs today. It's in 3 states, and that is a business that's a brick and mortar business. It's way different than online world or speaking or any of that. It has trucks, it has employees, it has headaches, it has a lot of things. But that was my background. So that's what really, I believe, is what taught me entrepreneurship. I got to see my dad at a young age building a business, but times where it was tough, where he had to beg his banker for more money to make it, to where he had one business and another business, and he was robbing Peter to pay Paul, where he had to get money from one to support the other, and then one went under. Like, that's the best experience. As a kid, I didn't always understand it until looking back now, but I saw what it was like to do that. And so I thank my dad for the opportunity in that. So that was my beginning. I did, as you mentioned, when I was a kid, I had a speech impediment, and I got made fun of. I couldn't speak very well. I had a lisp. So I couldn't pronounce my S's or other words, which is not fun. It's never fun when you get pointed out, and when one of the teachers comes to your class and says, okay, Brandon, it's time to go to your other class. And everybody knows what it is because you have a disadvantage. And I hated that. And it's crazy looking back on it now. I always said one day I want to be a great salesman. I wanted to be great at something. I didn't know what that was. I never thought I'd be a TV producer or do any of this stuff. But I said I want to be great at sales. And I knew if I wanted to be great at sales, I had to be great at communication. And I wouldn't let my speech impediment affect my future. So every night I practiced in front of a mirror speaking. And I said, I'm a great speaker. I'm a great salesman. I said this. And I convinced my own mind, really, that I had no speech impediment. I even said to people that said, do you have a lisp? I said, no. What are you talking about? And I was in the mode of just completely making myself believe I didn't. And after practice enough, I no longer had it. Now people are like, what? You had a speech impediment? Because I speak. I took my disadvantage and I turned it my advantage. And then I started volunteering to speak to groups. Like, I would speak to groups in front of classes, and I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. And then one time I did a Shark Tank casting call. There was like 300 people in line. I saw cameras. I went in front of the line and gave my pitch, which was so random. And looking back now, it's just, I don't know, probably obnoxious for some people, but it got me on the cover of USA Today. And I stood out. So I always did things that got me out of my comfort zone. And now, I can go in front of 1,000 people and talk about any topic. They could impromptu me and be like, hey, Brendan, talk about video content. I'll just be okay, let's go. Telling stories. Or I could go in front of a camera and create content. Most people would be like, how do you create that? And it goes back to, I took my disadvantage and I turned in my advantage. And then it wasn't until I was 21 when I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which has been 7 years ago. And after reading that, it actually made me think more on, I was applying the principles before I even knew what they were. Like the visualization, the persistence, and all of that. And it was just so cool to see how it transforms. Anybody listening right now, read the book. It's a game changer. Completely changed my life. There's not a day that goes by that I don't suggest to somebody. The first thing I gave my fiance for a gift 3 months into our relationship, well, we've been together 5 years now, but the first thing I gave her was that book, and it was actually a used copy. And she's like, what's this? I'm like, read it. And it changed how I thought. And it was cool to see because I always said one day I'd be on the back of the book, but it turns out I got to be in the movie and be one of the associate producers that helped create the movie. So we created a movie called Think and Grow Rich: A Legacy, which is basically based on the book by Napoleon Hill. It shows interviews from successful entrepreneurs of our time, but also theatrical scenes like the Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, the Thomas Edison, different scenes. And we released that last year. And that's been huge for myself, my brand, but also just a conversation piece. I mean, that book has sold over 130 million copies. And there's a guy that we interviewed, Jim Stovall. He's actually blind now. He went blind at 27. It was the last book he read. And we were filming in Wise, Virginia. It was right before Napoleon Hill Day. I got to spend time with J.B. Hill, which is Napoleon Hill's grandson. I got to hear stories of Napoleon Hill most people would never hear. And we sat on set and we're interviewing Jim Stovall. And he said, and this completely blew my mind, like the energy level in that room was insane. And he was talking about how much the book empowered his life. And he sat in a room for months pitying about himself and how, oh, I'm blind. I can't do anything. I'll never go without this kid again. But he listened to Think and Grow Rich. And he realized, you know what, I can sit here and be sorry for myself, or I can decide to use my disadvantage towards my advantage and do something with it. And then that day he got up and he walked by himself to his mailbox, which is on the side of the road. And he walked there. And that was a huge accomplishment that changed his life. He realized, well, if I can do this, I can do anything. There's an open road ahead. He moved forward to create a network for blind people. So when you watch a movie, blind people, they don't always know like what scene is happening. So there's narrators. He created a network. So there's a narrator sharing. So if the lady walks in the room, it shares that. So as a person actually walking the room. And he created that network. And now I think he's wrote like over 10 books. He's had 7 movies made on him. And he said, they don't ask you, have you read Think and Grow Rich in his mastermind? This mastermind, you have to have at least a net worth of 10 million. They say, how many times have you read the book Think and Grow Rich? That's how powerful the book is. So read the book, read it again, study your life on it. Anytime I need to go to that or have a thing happen in my life that's difficult, I go to that book. It always saves me.
That's huge. So guys, you listening, you're watching this, we always talk about books, and I'm always like, hey, everybody always asks us, Brandon, like, hey, what book should I read? Well, first off, I don't know your problem, right? So let's start there. But I love how you're saying that's a foundational book, right? It's something that you must read no matter where you're at in your life. So you said you read that when you get into slumps and you're feeling a little unmotivated. Is there anything else you do? I think a lot of people, they hustle, they grind, whatever words they want to use, and they're putting in the work, and then something happens, an outside influence, something mentally, mental breakdown. There's so many different things that happen through the process of why people start bogging down. The problem is they don't know how to get back to what got them started in the first place. So what would you suggest besides reading that book?
Yeah, well, that book would be Start. Another book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends, Influence Others. But in terms of other things beyond books, yeah, I mean, shit's going to be thrown at you, man. Like if you're an entrepreneur, if you're doing things at a big level, even the influencers you see today, like I bet if you ask Grant Cardone or Lewis Howes or any of these people, they have things that happen every single day. But what they do, other people don't know how to do is they learn to control their emotions, and they know it's a part of the road. So what I would say is, if it doesn't kill you, if it's not going to kill you, then it's not that big a deal. Like when you think about at the end of the day, when you look at money, you look at financing, you look at things that happen, ask yourself, will this affect me 3 to 6 months from now? Is it going to kill me? If not, then don't get worked up. I used to stress on everything, and it's not worth it. Life is too short to stress and get worked up over other things. A lot of times people, they get worked up about what other people say and other people's expectations of you. Be who you are and then just enjoy life. Because again, at the end of the day, take away the money, take all the other things. We're in this life. Heck, I'm talking to you and you're in Dallas, and I'm in Nashville, and we can see each other. What the fuck is that, man? That's technology. Like the fact that I can see outside and just the view in itself is beautiful. That's life. That is knowing like, hey, if you can realize and appreciate and have gratitude for what you have, it's a lot easier to get through them slumps. And also know when there are dark times and low moments, as Napoleon Hill says, our greatest successes come beyond our darkest times. And I found out some of the biggest things that came at me, there was a big success on the other side. And I asked myself, okay, what's going to happen next? So people have to just keep going. Most people will quit. If you just push through it, you will find a success, and whatever that may be. And the things that do happen to you, they happen for a reason. You may not see it now. And I'll tell you, you said in the intro how I had $750,000 investment lined up, and then I turned it down and was hit rock bottom. That in the moment sucked. I'm like, what are you doing to me? Like, what is happening? That ended up being my greatest success, because what it led me to do is having to figure things out. And I turned and did a crowdfunding campaign for my invention, Arctic Stick, which while doing the crowdfunding campaign, I realized I didn't know anything about crowdfunding, but that made me realize a lot of other people did it too. So I saw an opportunity in the market to become the expert. I became the expert, and I became one of the top in the world. So I branded myself as expert. I worked with some great campaigns and became the crowdfunding guy, which now I've crowdfunded multiple companies. I've crowdfunded my own TV show. I crowdfunded for Think and Go Rich. I use that specialized knowledge to give me what I wanted in life. So that failure, if that wouldn't have happened, I would have never become a crowdfunding expert. So some of our darkest times, some of the things that go wrong actually happen for a reason.
Absolutely. It's hard to see it in that moment. And I agree with you.
Yes.
You know, to talk about paying respects to your obstacles, you got to do it in the moment. So I'm 100% aboard with that. And now your whole series that you and your fiance are doing, you guys are helping people define success. Is that correct? I mean, give me a little more in depth about what you guys are doing, and people listening or watching, how they can go ahead and take the same exact tools and implement them into their life right now.
Yeah. So success, what is success? So we're redefining the meaning of success, what it means. So everybody has their own version. Most people, when they think of success, they think of a lot of money. They think of being powerful, or maybe being famous, which could be all great things, but them alone will not make you happy. It was somebody that even said, I actually heard this from a billionaire. They said that, you know, after you are making over $600,000 a year, your life isn't really that much different than the person that's making $10 million a year. Okay, maybe you can have your own private jet, but really the lifestyle isn't that different. So you look at, what is success to you? I've learned over my journey, and I still am learning, like success is changing. And I've learned that success is achieving the things that you want to accomplish in life and being happy in different areas. So some people, maybe a female, their version of success may be getting married and having kids and being the best mom. And if she becomes the best mom, she has fulfilled her destiny and she is a success. For some people, maybe it is going out and becoming the best speaker, or being an athlete to be the best athlete. Usually when you are success in your field and being the best, what happens is the money does come. But the whole purpose is to have people look differently about what success means to them. So I'll give you an example. When we're in Scottsdale, if you watch baseball at all, Shea Hillenbrand, a two-time All-Star, he played for the Red Sox, the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and a few other teams. He made $20 million in his career. He left baseball at the top of his game. He bought a $5 million zoo. 3 years later, he ended up losing everything. His wife left him, and he was sleeping out of his van. And he said when he was playing baseball, he never stopped once to realize he was a multimillionaire. You get these checks for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and like, oh, like, and he hated it because his life, like, he had no life. And he realized that. So what he does now is he made a transition, and he's a motivational speaker, and he has a nonprofit that helps kids, Against All Odds is what it's called. And he has realized that he wants to use his story and his voice to help others find their voice. So he learned what his success was and what it wasn't. And then to a guy in Boston, Massachusetts. He's a good friend of mine. His name's David France. He was homeless for 7 months, and he wanted to start an orchestra. And he realized, like, it took a lot of time to try to find a place to live. He had money, but he didn't want to spend all the time trying to figure that out. So he slept in the street. He actually slept behind an aquarium. And what he did was he ended up getting instruments donated, like 28 violins. He got the space to play the instruments donated, and he got teachers donated. And what he did is he created an orchestra now that travels the country. They play for different groups. And he created that from nothing, literally crowdsourced that. And now he does have money and he has a place to live in. But he wasn't willing to accept that he didn't have money or a place to live to take him home. Most people would have went home. He didn't. And now he's a TEDx speaker. I've hired him to speak at my events. He speaks all over the world. And success to him is giving away his life for the enjoyment of others. And he may not have a lot of money, but I'll tell you, is one of the most connected people. And he even said this, which made me think differently in relationships. He's like, I don't have much of my money or my bank account, but in relationships, for the currency of relationships, I'm a multimillionaire. And he is. Like, I was just at NBC last week to meet one of the top people at NBC in LA, and he's the one that got me the intro. So
that's awesome.
The whole point is the show is pushing people to think about what success is to them. Don't do what society thinks you should do. Don't do what your parents might think you have to go to college or whatever it be. It may be not going to college. It may be starting your own business, or maybe it is working corporate. Don't have people force you to think you should become an entrepreneur when maybe you're best being in a corporate job. Do what makes you happy. And if you don't know what is that thing that makes you happy yet, try things. Because when you explore and try new things, you find out. I found out from doing crowdfunding and inventing the product and everything else. I found out that I loved creating video content. I love speaking. So now I went all in on the video side of things. That has become what I'm doing. The crowdfunding I love, but that was like the stepping stone to producing video content, which led to me winning an Emmy nomination. Again, that started from one thing. I tried so many things that didn't work, but I just kept going. Eventually found out what I love. So for anybody out there, please try new things and really think about, ask yourself, and I always ask myself this still to today, what does success mean to me? And what does it mean to you? And then once you know that, work towards your own success.
That's great. I think people have a problem taking action though, man. Like, that's the thing. People are always like, oh man, I can't wait to start this business. And I always tell them, cool, well, that's not going to be the business that you end with, because like you said, we got to try all these different things, man. You got to keep trying all this different shit to finally figure it out. I mean, I started 7 businesses before I landed where I landed. And honestly, I'll probably land somewhere else in another 5-10 years, right? How do people take, like, I talk about massive, aggressive, annoying action. People are just fucking procrastinating, man. They're sitting there and they're waiting for this perfect thing to happen or this rock bottom to happen, like you talked about with those 2 gentlemen. Like, let's not wait for that. But how do you suggest somebody to go out and try? Because what happens is, and you could probably agree, they're scared to fail, which you and I both know the only way to success is through failure. But like, what would you tell them sitting in front of you and they're like, I got this idea, but they keep waiting. Like, what the hell would you tell them to do?
Just right out of the Nike commercial. Just do it. Literally, just do it. I mean, it is hard. It is difficult to overcome that fear and be like, okay, I'm just going to do this and I could fail. Well, honestly, knowing the different things I've tried and went out to do, it was scary. But after I did it, I felt better about myself, and things always work out. I mean, it was, I'm not going to lie. Like anytime I'm starting to feel kind of comfortable, I want to change. And last year when we left and went on this trip, we left our home. I was kind of scared to just go travel the country. I'm like, I'm going to be in different places. We don't know where we're going to stay. And then this past June, it was kind of scary knowing when we left in June to head to Denver, to our next city, I had sold my house. I sold 99% of my things. I had no home to go back to. I had my Tahoe. That was a little scary, but I grew from it. So when you continuously push yourself and try new things, great things will happen. And then also after you do it enough, you build up this tolerance and you're able to do it even more. The problem is most people won't take that first step. It's hard, and they take so many years to take the step. And just don't delay something you should have did yesterday. You just have to do it. Because why live in a comfortable state and being in the situation you've always been in? Because if you don't make any changes in your path or your decision making or in just your life, you're always going to get what you always got.
Yes, and there's the phrase, a year from now, you'll wish you started today, right?
Yep.
A good video I want you to watch is Just Do It one. Have you ever seen the Art Williams video?
I might have. I'll have to look it up now.
It's like an old-ass video. Anybody listening to this, go after the podcast is over, Art Williams, Just Do It. It is great. Yeah, it is good. It's like they have a 3-minute version, like a 5 or 6 minute version. Go look it up. It's awesome. It just talks about just doing it. So it's something nice. I plan at all my trainings. And it's always gets a crowd pleaser because he's country as hell and it's funny.
Here's another one. Absolute Motivation by Matthew McConaughey. It's about 10 minutes long. It's a YouTube video. I watched it the other day. This is so crazy. Like a higher power was talking to me. I was doing something with my YouTube channel for Success Your City, and I saw it. And I met Matthew McConaughey 3 weeks ago. He goes to the same church that I go to in Texas, and I got introduced to him. And I so wanted to. He's like, "Oh, McConaughey," and I so wanted to be like, "All right." I wanted to pull a line on him.
You got to pull back, right?
Yeah, pull back. And anyways, 3 weeks later, last week, I had this video pop up, and it was Matthew. And he was talking about him producing content and an actor and everything. And it so spoke to me because it's like you need to enjoy the journey. Because what happens is when you get these accolades, a Grammy, an Emmy, or whatever it is, like what most people do is they're like, okay, I need to strive to get the next one and the next one. And you're always searching for the next accomplishment. That's just how we're wired as humans. Learn to appreciate the journey and not always just strive just for the accomplishment, because you will end up accomplishing more things, but also you'll end up appreciating more things. Heck, I look at Jim Carrey, and then he just recently said, he doesn't even know who Jim Carrey is anymore. He's been an actor, and he become these different personalities, and he's achieved so much. It's like, what is this world of success? What is this world of fame? Like, am I even happy? Is this really what life is about? So think twice. Think about what you're doing. Think twice about what you ask for, because you see some of these people, they might not be happy with what they're even doing. Or heck, the fact that they're so famous, they can't even go out and live a normal life and do something without the paparazzi or people attacking them for a selfie. So check the video. Absolute Motivation, Matthew McConaughey. It really made me think. It was like, holy moly, that was a good video.
He's actually extremely smart. People don't give him enough credit for how smart that guy is. I'll tell you that. So you're running all these different trainings across basically the country. If someone asked you what the number one habit, I guess you could say, number one habit of success, what would that be? If you had to narrow it down to all the habits, what's the number one?
Oh, number one habit. Mindset. To say how that's a habit, the habit of thinking positively, because this is, like I said before, it's a journey. It's obstacles everywhere we go. It's a roller coaster. Training your brain, having the habit of always thinking positive, even when things come at you, and not letting your emotions get involved. Because if you let your emotions get involved, then it puts your mind in this bad place, which bad things happen. If you can learn to train yourself to always think positive every day, and even in the shittiest situations, and how you can do that is through a habit of applying different things. I recently changed up my schedule because as I traveled, it was hard to keep a consistent schedule. So what I'll do is I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and I will go work out. So I work out, and then from like 6 to 6:30, I meditate, but also just kind of, we have a pool here. I'll sit by the pool and just kind of think about everything and just kind of let my mind wander. And then by 7, I'll start my day. And I do like the info sponging where I'll spend 20 minutes just searching random things to kind of get my curiosity. And then I'll start working on my goals. But it's a good start to my day. It's like just get all the thoughts out, kind of my time. And then that helps set up the rest of my day. I'm not saying that's something everybody, find your own routine. Maybe you want to stay up until 5 a.m. and then wake up at noon and then start your day. Maybe that's your thing. Another thing I do is do a warrior chant in the shower. So I learned this from The Power of Habit. It's a book by Du Higgins, I think it is. I do a hot, cold shower at the end, which jolts your body. And then I do this chant, a warrior chant that is my affirmations. And then I hit my chest. That's kind of just my own weird thing that I do that helps me prep for the day. I mean, I played football, I played rugby, I played sports. Before a game, we had helmets, we had chants. Why not do that in everyday life? I mean, every day is a war, every day is a battle. Prepare yourself for the battle every single day. So those are just a few things, but I would say if it is one thing, the habit of thinking positive.
Yeah. Well, okay. Affirmations. You talked about that. You talked about warrior chant. I talk about this on a podcast a lot, just to let you know. I talk about our power of our morning rituals, but I always talk about if you ever were flying a wall and you saw me come out of the shower, it looks like it's the damn fucking Super Bowl. Like I'm like Ray Lewis, you know what I mean? Coming out like, ready to go. But it's because I do what you do, and I don't do a warrior chant, which I might switch it up because I like the sound of this. I do my affirmations. I feel it. I visualize it. And you know, same with my gratitude. And I do the hot, cold. Give a little bit more in depth about what do you mean by hot, cold, and give us one of your affirmations in your warrior chant.
Yeah. So, okay. I actually filmed this once. This is funny because I have a Live to Grind TV show we put on Apple TV, and it's on Facebook too. But my first, I call him the D-Rock because Gary Vaynerchuk has D-Rock. Herb Gonzalez, my guy that would film me all the time. I said, hey, I want to film this chant. And it was like when we first started filming together, and I was naked. And I'm like, you don't mind this, right? So there I am naked in the shower. And I probably could have just kept my shorts on, but I didn't want to get my clothes wet at that time.
No, you got to go all in, brother. You got to go all in.
Like there I am naked showering, and he's recording me doing this like the hot, cold, and then shower. It was crazy. Anyways, so you're in your shower, you get done. Some people just do straight cold showers. I do like the nice warm shower. So I took a shower. I get done towards the end, and it doesn't work well for all showers, especially when I'm traveling. Like I have certain places, hotels, it works perfect because it's so freaking cold, you want to cry. So I'm getting towards the end of my shower. I turn it to cold for however long you can bear, 15 to 30 seconds. Turn it to hot. So your body goes really cold, goes really hot. It's kind of confusing it. And then you end on cold. So there's studies show that this will actually help with your immune system and fighting off disease, and it wakes you up. And then after I go, get some water for this.
Yes.
So I say, my name is Brendan T. Adams. I am the most successful entrepreneur of my time. I will not accept defeat. I will not accept failure. Whatever my mind conceives and believes, my mind achieves. I will impact 1 billion lives in a positive way by December 31st, 2019. I'll do this for inspiration, motivation, education, through the power of speaking, podcasting, online education, masterminds, events, and my TV show. I have a great TV show. I'm the top influencer of the millennials. I'm the most successful entrepreneur of my time. Whatever my mind conceives and believes, my mind achieves.
Yeah.
So I do that, and then into the mirror and look into the mirror, and then that's my start for the day. So it's like it's like saying these things because the words you speak become a part of your subconscious, and I tweak it. I will change it here and there, how I do the wording. But I used 2 years ago 2.5 years ago when I started doing it 2 years ago, I wrote it down because I didn't understand it yet. So I wrote it down and I kept changing it, and then I had it memorized and it became a part of me. So I don't know. I highly suggest that. Again, it goes back to a mental game. How do you become mentally prepared to achieve goals? You have to speak the right words out to the world. You have to train your body and your mind. And those little things really add up.
That's awesome. I can't believe you got your camera guy when he barely even knew you to film that.
Yeah, there I am sitting there butt ass naked, and he's filming above me. It's funny. We were just filming together a couple weeks ago in Denver, and we've had some crazy. We've been through freaking hurricanes together. When there was that hurricane in Florida, we had to drive through a tropical storm to get home. We've experienced a lot together.
That's awesome. Probably none as extreme as you butt ass naked, day one of filming.
Pretty much.
All right. You talked about branding before, right? You're talking about branding and people telling their story.
Yeah.
People are afraid, man. It's real. People are afraid to be vulnerable and tell their story and be authentic about it. But you and I both know that if you own a business, and even if you don't, you are a brand. Right? People don't really buy your product. They buy you. So what are some things people could do to help them with their video content, to help them with branding? What are some best practices?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is start. Definitely don't look at the stuff I'm doing and be like, okay, like I have to just go do that. I didn't just like wake up one day and be like, oh, let's create a TV show. That's fucking hard, man. Like in the last 2.5 years, like, we've invested over $300,000 into video content. That's just not, I'm like the very, 1% or less than 1% out there that are going to do stuff like that. I started with, I have an iPhone 10 year, but I started with whatever phone it was 5 years ago, where I just recorded on my phone, or I recorded like just backyard random videos. And I just started from there. So your phone is a way to start. How do you build your brand and who you are? It's what you stand for as a person. So sharing that out to the world. So it could be through Snapchat, through Insta stories, through posts, through Facebook Lives. These are all things to put out into the world. And then after you do that consistently, over time, people will attract to you because you're speaking about the same thing. So I used to talk about crowdfunding advice. I talked about advice to speak or advice to have success, or I just gave inspiration. Or I talked about my journey, and over time, people buy into your story. And your story, my story is I'm a kid from Iowa that grew up with a speech impediment, overcame it, and went from Iowa to Emmy nomination. Now I'm a TV producer. Like I started and I sold ice for a living. So that was my beginning. Your story is your brand. Your story is what people buy into. And after I started doing the regular phone for video, then in 2014, I bought a Canon 70D. I started recording stuff. So then I had that, and it was a little higher quality. And then it wasn't until later that it was 2015, I had a really bad experience with a film team for a promo we were going to do for an event I put on in Iowa called Young Entrepreneur Convention. And we filmed for a whole day. We even flew a couple people out. And it was so bad, I will not show it to this day. And we scrapped the shoot. It was $1,000 shoot, which is looking back on like how, because I mean, shoots we do are like way more than that. And anyways, nobody will ever see that. The public will not see that. And what I had to do is to get another videographer. And that guy was Chris Lowe out of Des Moines, Iowa. And Chris Lowe became for a while, D-Rock. He filmed with me and we created cool content together. We learned. So I started filming more content. And then it wasn't until 2016 we started filming on a whole new level. I filmed with Kevin Harrington. We created a couple commercials with him. We filmed with John Lee Dumas on Throw on Fire. We flew up to Puerto Rico, filmed there. We were creating campaigns for video campaigns, for crowdfunding campaigns. And then where it really took it to the next level is it was 2016 when I had an event in Iowa. A guy named Greg Roulette, who we common know. He's business partners with Nick Nanton. Greg spoke at my event and he said, hey, why don't you come down to Florida and talk about crowdfunding on a masterclass? I did that. I took his opportunity. Most people be like, I ain't gonna go to Florida. I did. I knew something would come from it. And he asked me to be a co-host for the TV show he had a pilot for called Ambitious Adventures. So that's when I first really got into video hardcore, and we filmed the show together. Got on Amazon Prime, Facebook Watch, Entrepreneur Network, been seen by a lot of people. And then I ended up creating a media company. So we filmed for people across the country, series. We did commercials. And I went all in on video. So as you can see in the journey, like I started somewhere with the phone, Canon 70D, hired videographers to my own media team, and now a 5-time Emmy Award winning team. It was a journey over 3 years. Podcast is another great way to do that. I started a podcast show in 2015. I now have close to 400 episodes called, it was University of Young Entrepreneurs. And here's where you can learn. I took a transition. I was targeting young people, and I made a change in my brand to call it the Live to Grind podcast. So you live to grind in your business and life. And a year and a half in, 2 years in, I said, okay, we're going to call it the Live to Grind show now. Changed it. So that's a podcast show I do. All these things I did, again, I started from literally nothing. I didn't know how to podcast at the beginning. I did all my own editing. I tried. Just start, do something. And then as you build up your learning curve and you get good at it, add something to it and then continuously add. So I started podcasting, and then I added a book to it. And then after that, doing that, I could do that. Then I added video to it. And then I added a TV show. And then I added blogging. But it wasn't overnight. It was starting with one thing, and then the rest came. So to build your brand in today's day and age, the best ways I really see, one, do video. Do Insta stories, do your own videos, create your own series. And you can even multi-purpose that into a podcast show. But video is the best way I've found out from my own experience, and I've helped others to build your name, make more money, find great opportunities, and become the expert in your industry.
Yeah. Do you think people are just waiting for that, trying to get everything done at once? Because you had mentioned something that I think I probably do it as well. And I'm not a fan of, waiting for perfection, because that kills progression. But people listening are like, well, I feel like I need to have the video done. I need to have the right microphone. I need to have all my guests and all this shit. But you're saying none of that shit matters. Take one key component and go now, and then create a learning curve from there. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, you can record a podcast show. I recorded one on my drive back from Iowa the other day with an $80 lav mic that plugs into my Sounds app. And I literally use that to record a podcast show. I airdropped it to my assistant, and she put it in for the queue for a podcast show. For less than $100, you can launch your show. Who cares what people think? Just start, man. Start. The videos too, what holds back for most people, they don't like how they look, or it's not perfect. I still make mistakes all the time. I sometimes will say the wrong thing or whatever, but I just keep going. We notice it more than the audience notices it, because we're examining ourselves. Just put it out there and you'll get better over time. I have videos out there that are embarrassing as hell, and they're random ass videos, but you know what? I started. Yes. And guys, do not look at somebody and judge them on their middle to your beginning. I forget who it is. I had a guest on who said that, and it just makes so much sense. Start before you're ready. I love it. What does it mean to you, brother? You're out there teaching everybody how they should go and look for success. But when asked the question to you, what does it look like? Yeah. So one big eye-opening moment for me, which I guess was a low moment too, it was, I always go by dates because this is how I remember things. It was November 15th of 2015. My fiance and I, fiance now, we get married in 38 days. The biggest event of your life, by the way. All the other shit, you just, that is all nothing compared to the event that's going to happen called freaking. Yeah. And that's my success. Well, a few years back, she left me. I moved her out, and she wasn't happy. I was so into the end goal and the game and the entrepreneurship that I lost focus on what meant most to me. It was her. And it's funny because when that happened, well, it wasn't funny in the moment, but like looking back on it, I had like that, the day she moved out was the day I got the things that I thought I wanted. And I was unhappy because I didn't have her to share it with. And it took me 10 months, but I got her back. And now we're going to get married. So I won. But what success is to me is being happy, having her. Success is helping as many people as possible, mastering my own craft and using it to help as many people as possible figure out what their own success is, and just doing cool things and enjoying life, and not being integrity with who I am, and not ever hurting others in any way, and just being good and really helping the most people. Because one day when I do die, I hope that people can say I helped them. I hope that there's a lot of people that can say their life was changed because of the small things that I did. So that's my success. It changes. Like, it's always going to be around that. I mean, videos now, 5 years from now, I don't know what we're going to have. 10 years from now, who knows what we'll be doing. We'll be teleporting or some shit. But like that's the basis of what it means to me.
You're going to be ahead of the curve. Whatever that looks like in 5-10 years, you'll be ahead of the curve, man. You're already changing lives. That's why I brought you on here, because I see what you're doing, and it's amazing to see authentic people absolutely crushing the game in all fronts and just being ahead of curves. So I want to play a little game with you. You go with it? It's going to be, I'm going to say 4 words, and I want you to top of your head tell me what you think of. It could be a 1 word, it could be a sentence, but first thing you think of. You ready? Fear.
Fear. Unachieved dreams, laziness, and unfulfillment.
Failure.
A part of your journey towards success, and really is a success in disguise.
I like that. Hustle.
Every fucking day.
I'm going to throw another one in. We're going to have 5. I'm going to throw another one because it's the name of your podcast. It may be the same, but grind.
Grind. Live to grind. Live to grind every single day. Live to grind. Yeah, hashtag plug. Live to grind every day. Like, it is not easy. But if it was easy, what would be the point of doing it? It is literally a grind every single day. And whatever you think it takes to accomplish your big goals, times that motherfucker by 10, because it's way harder. That's way harder than you think. So work hard, live to grind, and you will find your own success.
Last one, man. Success.
Success is what you make it. Literally, success is what you make it. So think about what it means to you, and that is your own success. Don't look at what other people think. It's what you think.
Yes, dropping bombs. I love it. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate you, man. Guys, I told you, get your pen and paper ready. Every time we have a show, people are dropping these value nuggets. You just need to make sure you pick them up, because successful people leave clues. But now it's the time of the show, man, where if anybody that's listening did not have a pen and paper, they get the chance to go ahead and scrummage through their drawer and get it, because this whole show is premised off of helping people be better today than they were yesterday. We're giving them actionable tools to take massive, aggressive, annoying action immediately. So what I need is 3 things that they can do as soon as they're off this podcast to help them be better today than they were yesterday. 3 things. I got my pen and paper ready, so you roll, brother.
Okay, so the first one is read the book Think and Go Rich. Consume the principles, because I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. And Napoleon Hill spent his entire life studying the most successful people, and those principles apply. They applied 70, 80 years ago when he wrote the book. They apply today. They will always apply. So do that. That is like the first one. 2, figure out write down a piece of paper, what do you want? Like, ask yourself, what do you want? And just write a bunch of things. See what comes out. Look at the trend of it. Figure out what you want, because that's the hardest part. Most people don't know what they want. But once they know what they want, then you just have to figure out how to get there. And usually what you do is you see who's already accomplished it, and then either hire them or get them as a mentor. How do you get them as a mentor? Make them money. Simple as that. Third one is You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Take a deep look of who your friends are, who your surrounding atmosphere is. If you're in an atmosphere of negative people, get them the fuck out of your life. Negative people, negative influence, cut them out. Even when I'm back home in a small town atmosphere, I have to deflect the small thinking for some people and the negative attitudes. You cannot be around that, because if you're around that, it's going to build on you and turn into you. So I like to surround myself with billionaires and people that are way more successful. I look at 2 main influencers who are my executive producers, mentors, and friends. Jeff Hoffman, co-founded Priceline.com, self-made billionaire, very successful. He's traveling the world and he's sharing his stories, helping people. I look at what he does. I want to be like him in some way. I want to give back. I want to have that wealth, but I want to give back in a good way. Then I look at Kevin Harrington. He invented the infomercial. He's on Shark Tank a couple seasons, and he is the master at doing deals. Like literally, this guy, blow your mind the deals he's done. And I look at what he's done for building his brand. And because he built his brand, he gets a lot of deals, big money deals. So I strive to be Kevin Harrington in my own way by building my own brand. Those are 2 influencers I look up to. Those are people that I surround myself with. You become them over time. So you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Probably one of the most important things. I mean, the book Think and Grow Rich will teach you that. But that in itself, your atmosphere, you have to be around the right people or you don't have a chance. Yes.
Audit your circle, people. Audit your damn circle. I love it, man. Thank you so much. Those 3 things I 100% grateful for, because, honestly, Think and Grow Rich, it is a game changer. But like you said, that last one, you said something that I want everybody to hear. All right. And the exact words he said were, if you're around negative people, you need to get them the fuck away from you, right? Or you need to get your ass out of that situation and surround yourself with people. And guys, if you don't know anybody like the Kevin Harringtons, like the Brandon T. Adams, find a way to find them, right? Obsess over their content via podcast or YouTube or going to the events that they speak at. Brandon, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. The floor is yours now. I want you to tell them where they could find you, where they could stalk you, and what you have coming up.
Yeah, just, I'd love to talk with you. BrandonTAdams.com is my website. If anybody wants to follow my journey on the show, successinyourcity.com. Highly suggest you check out the trailer. It's powerful. It's very powerful. And seriously, do connect with me. I'd be happy to. I'm on all social media outlets. You can find me. I'd love to give you any kind of insight. I do reach back out. And please do take the things I said, apply them, and try to go live life on your own version of success. Do what you love and enjoy life.
Yes. Yeah. And social media handles, what is it?
Yeah. Just check out Instagram, Brandon T. Adams 18. You can follow me there. I've been doing a lot of Insta stories lately and posting on a regular basis. So check out my stuff, message me, and who knows what it'll turn into.
Yes. Yes. Any last words of wisdom, my brother? Anything else?
Yeah. Quote by Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind conceives and believes, the mind achieves. And whatever you think about the most is what you become. Be careful what you think about. And if you believe in something enough, you can achieve it. You just first got to think it and conceive it in your mind. So go think yourself into that existence.
Yes. Brilliant, brother. Brilliant. Man, guys, you need to go follow Brandon. You need to be obsessive over what he's doing. He's going to be coming to a city near you after he goes ahead and gets married. And probably next year, we're going to have some more dates on the calendar, right?
Yeah, we will.
Good. And honeymoon first. Make sure you do the honeymoon before you go. Put any more dates on there. And make sure you guys go follow this guy. Watch what he's doing. And go digest his content. Reach out to him if you have any questions. And just make sure you implement something that he said today. Because there's information, then there's implementation. And information is shit without the implementation. So you need to make sure that you take something that he had said, a breakthrough you had, an aha, and implement it immediately. Make sure you go follow him Also, like and subscribe to this podcast and write a review. Not about me, I always say it. Write a review about Brandon. What did Brandon do or say that absolutely blew your mind, or an aha that you had? Write it down, and then I want you to go ahead and reach out to him and let him know so that he knows what he's doing. He's on the right track. Or sometimes, man, we just need people just to affirm, like, yeah, what you said made sense, right? So, guys, like, subscribe, review, and make sure you reach out to my man, Brandon. You can go follow me on all of my social media accounts at Real John Marrone. But before you do anything at all, I have one more favor. And it's take this episode and think about who can use it. Who can use this episode to better their life, to be better today than they were yesterday. Don't be selfish. Share this shit out. Send it to them. Don't ask for anything in return. Just send them this episode and see if they get the ahas that you think they're going to get, so they can be better today than they were yesterday and start designing the life they've always wanted to live. Brandon, man, thank you so much. We're going to be linking up in Nashville here in a few weeks, man, so I can't wait to have a beer with you and pick your brain some more. Guys, like I said, go follow this man and make sure, until next Tuesday, you keep creating the ultimate version of you. Have a good one, guys.